Hello, my dear friends. Hope you are having a good day. Today, I have 4 news stories for you. The first one is about a crazy mother-in-law who decided that it's okay to try the bride's wedding dress on before the wedding. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Enjoy! My fiance and I got engaged recently. We both work, but she purchased her wedding dress with her own money. She's very independent. We live together in an apartment. My mom's a copy of the key. She'd come, drop off, pick up stuff sometimes. A few days ago, I got back from work, and when I walked into my bedroom, I saw my aunt and my mom there. Mom was wearing my fiance's wedding dress that was in the closet. I asked what they were doing, and Mom's response was to ask if she looked good in the dress. I screamed at her, asking why she had my fiance's wedding dress on. My aunt asked me to relax, that they were just taking a look, and Mom wanted to try it on because she liked it. I told my mom to put it back and them both to get out. I waited in the living room till they came and the argument ensued. I yelled at my mom she shouldn't have touched the dress. She said it wasn't a big deal and won't be if I keep my mouth shut and not tell my fiancé. I was enraged and told her to leave. I went over to the house the next day and told my mom that I already told my fiancé, and she was upset someone else wore her dress before her after spending time and money to get it. It no longer fits her. I demanded that she pay for a new dress, which cost $2,200. Mom freaked out, calling it a ridiculously entitled demand, and that my fiancé can just use the dress and stop overreacting, or buy a new dress herself since she's a doctor and can afford it. My dad said it was my fault for telling my fiancé, and should have just put it back in the closet and no one will say anything. I pointed out how disgusted I felt thinking about seeing my fiancé in the same dress my mom wore, although it was originally my fiancé's, but not anymore. He said I'm being the one with a problem here then. Mom said it's not my dress, not my money, so I needed to stay out of it, and they'll talk to my fiancé and apologize, but they're probably going to try to talk her out of the entitled demand we made. My fiancé's generous and polite. My family seemed to be taking advantage of that. I insisted and kept demanding my mom pays for the new dress after she ruined the first one, and they all started yelling at me, saying I've changed and that I have no respect for them anymore. My brother and 2 sisters said they won't attend my wedding if I keep this up, as a way to get me to stop, but I told them no. I told them we won't speak again till this gets sorted out, and they send my fiancé the money. I could see the joy my fiancé had with her dress was gone, and I might have made it a big deal, but that dress was my fiancé's. The dress was no longer the same, especially the upper part, since my mom has gained so much weight compared to my fiancé. The shoulder is now loose, which ruined the entire upper shape. I just want to say that I will be changing the locks very soon in case my mom made other copies of the one I took from her. I don't think OP is an idiot at all. OP's mother crossed boundaries. She ruined OP's fiancé's wedding dress, and it doesn't matter how much OP's fiancé makes. She needs to replace the dress. Also, I think it is okay for OP to be dealing with his parents and not his fiancé. I don't think OP's mother will pay for the damaged dress, but it's good OP is standing up for his fiancé. My husband and I have been married for 4 years now, but we've been together for more than 6. I want to start out by saying that I know some of the things we did were not okay, and we both wish that we could go back and do things right. Unfortunately, we can't, so here I am. My husband and I got together 6+ years ago when he was still married to his first wife. At the time of their divorce, they had a 12-year-old daughter, Emma. She's now 16. We were close friends, and it wasn't okay how we got together, but it is what it is. Since then, we've had a son together. Emma's mom did not handle the affair and divorce well. She wound up getting very depressed and spent some time in the hospital because of it. My husband feels immensely guilty because of this. So do I. She has suffered from some mental issues her entire life, so while I know we played a part in it, it wasn't entirely on us. During their divorce, no one told Emma what happened. She did see her mom's struggles, and she was upset at their divorce, but we kept our relationship quiet from her and many other people for a while. We didn't want to cause her any more harm than was already done to her. We were friends, so it wasn't weird for me to be around him, and no one questioned us. Emma and I have always been close. I was the cool aunt before I got together with her dad, and now I am a parental figure for her. She comes to me when she needs to talk, enjoys spending time with me, and usually listens to me. She was happy when her dad and I got together because she always liked me and she wanted her dad to be happy. Emma has been asking some questions about her parents' divorce and her mom's mental issues. Her mom let my husband know that she was going to sit down and tell Emma what happened. My husband and I disagree. We think she's trying to poison Emma's relationship with her dad and me. She's always disliked that Emma is close to me. She puts the blame 100% on my husband and me for everything that happened, even though there were many other things going on in their marriage. We have her 50-50, but because of her age and her mom signing her up for a million activities, we don't see her that much. We've even considered trying to get more custody, but we know she's 16 and that's unlikely. Emma is very close to her mom, and we know that this will alter her views on love, marriage, her dad, me, and even her mom forever. We don't want to put that pressure on her. She's recently experienced her first breakup, and that was hard enough. I know it may seem like we are trying to skirt the consequences of our actions, but we are trying to do what's best for Emma. Is there anything we can do to stop her mom from telling her, or convince her that it's not the best idea? We don't believe it's okay to drag Emma into adult relationship issues and put her in the middle of something that happened years ago. She's with her mom right now, and I expect she'll tell her soon if she is going to, so there is no chance for us to tell her first. When we see her next, if she knows, is there something we should say to her to help her come to terms with this better? I don't think Emma's mom is trying to poison Emma's relationship with her dad and OP. To be honest, I'm surprised Emma's mom didn't tell her yet. She is old enough to know the truth. Also, Emma's mom has a full right to tell her daughter the truth, and nobody has a right to forbid her. I understand OP doesn't want Emma to find out the truth because I don't think that Emma will like OP after that, and it will put a big strain on their relationship. Or it won't be any relationship between them at all. My suggestion would be taking the opportunity to apologize to Emma and playing a part in ruining her family, and talking to her like an adult. In my opinion, if OP cared all that much about Emma before this, she would have refrained from doing what she did. Same with her father. This is one of the consequences she must face now. Since November, my husband has been working a lot, and over time, it started to affect our marriage, especially since he had to skip most of Thanksgiving Day, Christmas, and New Year's, my birthday, for work trips. It got worse in February. He missed Valentine's Day. Now, my husband has always been especially romantic, even on Valentine's Day. Even if we had a fight, he still put an effort in to prove how much he loves me. This year, we had an even bigger fight about him not being around as much because of his work. He didn't seem to care and went on another business trip 4 days before Valentine's Day. I never got anything from him. We hardly talked when he went away this time, and the kids were upset that their dad hadn't called to talk to them. At the end of the month, he called to tell me he was headed home in a couple of days, and he wanted us to go away for a few days to work on things. Even though I was hesitant at first, I eventually agreed. While we were away, he agreed to cut down on his hours and go on less trips. We both agreed on counseling, which we started when we got back. It really did help us improve our marriage. I did bring up the fact that I had been cheated on in the past. My husband knows this, being I also have a kid with my ex, and it was a reoccurring thought for me. My husband was asked during several sessions if he had been with other women, and every single time he was consistent with his answer. No, I am very happy with my wife. I believed him. Just a couple days ago, his ex reached out to me to tell me that my husband had been sleeping with her from December right through to February, and now she was pregnant. But he had been ghosting her since she found out she was pregnant. Apparently, she recently became a client of his, and he asked her to join him on his business trips to get some alone time. This has devastated me, but I can't ask him yet because for the first time in months, he is on a short business trip again. This may sound rude, but in the past, or for other reasons, I have had to go into his work phone. I was going to check his work phone, considering he would not text her from his personal phone. But recently, he has made it a thing of leaving his work phone at his office. He has never left it at his office before, and he never takes it with him on his trips. So I started to get suspicious, considering how everything else adds up. I have heard from some people that his ex could be lying. Several people from his workplace have told me that he didn't want her as a client at first, and even when no one else would take her on, he very much kept everything professional. Close friends have been telling me that for a couple months, she was jumping into any bed to sleep with anyone. To me, I don't know who to believe. My husband's ex was never crazy or anything after they broke up, and practically didn't speak to him until recently. But at the same time, there should not be a reason for her to know when he was away on business, unless he told her. Some people think I'm being stupid for believing her, but considering that she has told me, his attitude, behavior, and constant business trips are saying something else. I am sure he's been cheating, and the baby is his, guys, because his behavior tells it all. He's always away, started not to care, skipping Thanksgiving and not spending Valentine's Day together. That's all red flags. And the fact that she said he ghosted her after she told him she is pregnant matches with the time he stopped going on business trips and wanted to make his family work. I think OP should see a lawyer as soon as possible. Update. Someone who works for my husband knew about the ex, saw this post, figured out it was me, and the day my husband came back to town, he made a trip to the office first. His coworker told him what happened, so by the time my husband got home, he knew that I came on here to write my post. He was extremely angry, not with me, but his ex. He pretty much sat me down from the moment he got home and told me everything. From what he told me, since September of last year, my husband's boss did some major cutdown on employees. The business had started to lose massive amounts of money, so several people were let go. My husband had to pick up the slack for not only himself, but 3 others. It got to the point he was working himself into depression and had a "I don't care anymore" attitude. By the time the excessive work trip started, his boss was making him pile on several new client lists onto his schedule that he could handle. From then on, for a couple of months, he would see double the amount of clients during the day before heading back to his hotel room to where he drank until he passed out. This made him super angry at himself, and he was slowly starting to hate who he was and what he did. When he had his ex as his client, he kept things blunt and would only talk business with her. They had only 4 meetings, and even then, he told me she consistently tried flirting with him. He always just ignored her anyway and kept things professional. He also told me that she was never on his business trip with him. He doesn't know how she got his schedule. He never told her, and that's supposed to be kept between himself and his boss anyway. He also offered that the next day I could go to work with him and collect his work phone. So I did. Everything was kept professional. There wasn't anything to suggest anything going on between them. He also told me he tried talking to his boss more than once about his ex being his client and being home with his family more. His boss gave him ultimatums to continue working or breach his contract and be sued. By mid-January, he thought about just taking off because he couldn't deal with anything anymore. But thankfully, another coworker picked up on his behavior and referred him to a therapist. Going to the first few appointments with him, but sat outside the door until he was done. My husband slowly made progress, and his therapist helped him work on himself before moving on to the topic of our family and me, which his therapist suggested a trip for both of us. He also didn't tell me any of this at the time because he didn't feel ready to admit how crappy he had been feeling. He thought keeping it bottled up was better. He also said he would happily take a paternity test to prove his innocence. His ex, on the other hand, even though I have texted her, she told me again my husband gave her his schedule when he was away, and I asked her for text messages between them, and she said she would send them to me. It's been a week. I haven't heard anything. I also asked her for a paternity test, and she agreed, but has pretty much been ghosting me since then. A lot of other people have asked her for evidence, but she continues to tell them she isn't making anything up, but won't prove anything. She continues to text my husband about meeting up, but their contract ended months ago, so there is no reason for her to still contact him. I'm actually starting to believe that when she found out she was pregnant, she thought she didn't know the father and had to make up a story to cover her butt. I feel stupid for actually letting her get to me, but at the same time, things weren't adding up for my husband. I don't know if she noticed this and took a chance, or if now she will start to act all crazy. Edit. Just so people know, he did let me see the bills from each of his therapist appointments. And his co-worker is a woman that has a girlfriend at home. Plus, I also know that she is someone a lot of people can go to for help. Edit 2. Some people think it's shady my husband didn't tell me about the therapy. And like one person said, they would deal with their problems themselves. My husband has this same thought process. For him, yes, it's embarrassing to admit he is seeing a therapist. This for me isn't shady, it's just the way he is. As for his coworker telling him, I wouldn't be surprised he was giving him a heads up before I blindsided him with his ex contacting me. Okay, let me clear up a few more things. Since our counseling session, I managed to get the counselor on board with this. We pressed him for more details, and he gave them to us without hesitation. And honestly, given at the same time, I would be able to tell if he was lying or not. I also talked to other people to get their side too. The coworker notifying beforehand. Months ago now, I would just every now and then vent my frustration to wives of some of the coworkers. Some of these women told their husbands, while others kept it to themselves. Eventually, this couple knew everything because I thought the wife was literally just being a good shoulder to lean on. The other coworker, the one who had a girlfriend, has dealt with stuff like this before. Before she started working with my husband, she worked in a rehab facility and she saw more than just addictions. From what she told me, she chose to go to appointments with my husband at first because she just thought that when he first agreed, it was to get her off his back about things. My husband's therapist has suggested having a conversation to me about actually seeing someone, but he kept putting it off as he still wasn't sure how to get the words out, considering this is very much not like him. The therapist had suggested a few ideas every time he had an appointment, but he said that they just didn't seem fitting. My husband said that if I don't believe him, I can contact the phone provider to look into it more if I want to. We are getting a court-ordered paternity test, considering his ex still remains with the fact she is telling the truth, even though I have made it a point every day to text her for this evidence, but she still proves nothing. For me, having 2 small businesses, raising 3 kids, school after sports, and any school functions, I barely have time for myself during the day, let alone my husband, and even though we may have our alone time after the kids are in bed, my mind is still partially going around everything I need to do the next day. There are times I pick up on my husband's stress, but other times I don't pick up on it at all. So this is partially my fault. Thankfully, his contract for work ends in November. An old friend of my husband's offered him his job he had 6 years ago. He did not cheat with his ex or anyone. I would know by now. If anything, while some people may think my husband is still lying to me, and I've known him for 8 years, he has always been more secretive in what he does. If anything, he mostly doesn't talk unless he has to. He keeps a lot of stuff locked up. And that may be difficult for me, but at the same time, I've grown to just live with it. Yes, that could probably mean he has cheated, but at the same time, he would easily show how ashamed of himself he was for doing so. Does this make us a bad match? Maybe, but somehow we make it work. That was the final update, guys. I still think he cheated on OP, and now is praying that the paternity test would come back that he is not the father. Do you agree with me, guys? Let's go to another story.